that should eliminate some of the mental mistakes, allow that offensive line to open up a little bit of a run game to keep their quarterback, Rob Johnson, out of known passing situations when the Rams are going to blitz him.
Well, we'll have the opening kickoff for you in just a moment. The Buffalo Bills and the St. Louis Rams on Fox NFL Sunday. Kenny Albert, Jim Green back in Orchard Park, New York for the 0-2 St. Louis Rams under head coach Dick Vermeil. Home losses to the Saints and the Vikings. The Buffalo Bills 0-2 as well in Wade Phillips' first year as head coach. Road defeats at the hands of the Chargers and the Miami Dolphins. Isaac Bruce, the NFL's leading receiver, inactive today due to a hamstring injury. And the Rams have won the toss. They will receive 82, Tony Horn, a rookie out of Clemson. 83 on the right is J.T. Thomas. Steve Christie will get things started for the Bills in their 1998 home opener. Short kick handled by Thomas at the 11, out across the 25 to the 28-yard line. And that is where the St. Louis Rams will start their opening drive. Tony Banks, third in the NFL in yards passing over the first 2 weeks, behind only Steve Young and Glenn Foley, but he was picked off 4 times by the Vikings last week. Orlando Pace, one of the best first overall pick in last year's draft. Ricky Prohl gets the start for the injured Isaac Bruce. Greg Hill is the featured back. On first down, play action, and the pass is complete. Out of the backfield, Derek Harris, the third-year pro out of Miami. Henry Jones made the stop. The Bills defensively ranked second in the NFL behind the Seattle Seahawks. Sean Price starting for Sean Moran. Bruce Smith, the 10-time Pro Bowler. Rogers, Holosek, and Northern, the linebacking core. Irvin and Smith on the corners. Jones and Schultz are the safeties. Greg Hill cuts to the outside across the 30 to the 31-yard line. A gain of 8. Kurt Schultz made the stop.
One of the things the Rams wanted to do with their run game today was run right at Bruce Smith with his hurt knee. Here's Smith. Watch what they do. Derek Harris leads on him. He cuts him down, and that gives Greg Hill a nice big hole to run through. Smith told us yesterday they had to drill small holes in the top of his bone to try to regenerate cartilage growth in his knee.
Third down and 2. Banks over the top. Ernie Conwell, the tight end, could not hang on to it.
Had to hurt. Ernie Conwell has got a cracked rib, and he had that ball in his hands, and he takes a brutal shot from Gabe Northern. That's tough. I mean, that's just toughness just to be out there. Doesn't surprise me that he dropped that pass.
Kevin Williams, the former Dallas Cowboy and Arizona Cardinal. Back deep. Former Bill Rick Chuton, who averaged only 31 yards per punt last week. Dick Vermeil was not happy about that, as Williams takes it out of bounds at the 28-yard line following a 9-yard return, a 51-yard punt by Chuton. Rob Johnson, only one NFL start prior to this season with the Jacksonville Jaguars, signed the big contract, $25 million. Here are the men protecting Johnson. They allowed 8 sacks last week in Miami. Molds and the great Andre Reed are the wide receivers. Antoine Smith, Sam Gash, the former Patriot, in the backfield, and the tight end, Lonnie Johnson. First and 10 Bills from their own 28. Antoine Smith up the middle across the 31 to the 33-yard line. Smith gains 5 on first down. As we check out the St. Louis Rams defensive unit, the front four, led by DeMarco Farr, as well as Kevin Carter, Mike Jones, the former New England Patriot. Lorenzo Styles starting once again for the injured Roman Pfeiffer. Eric Hill, the ex-Cardinal, in the middle. And the Rams secondary, Toby Wright coming back from reconstructed knee surgery. On second down, Antoine Smith again. First down and more. Finally dragged down at the 42 by Todd Light after a 10-yard pickup.
Kenny, Rams coming up with an 8-man front. They've got the strong safety, Toby Wright, playing right up here in the line of scrimmage. So he's ready to fill on the run. Watch the hole here by this Bills offensive line, and watch that block there by Sam Gash, the fullback. Beautiful blocking up front for the Bills so far. 2 run plays and a first down.
First and 10 from the 43. Third consecutive handoff to Antoine Smith. Across the 45 to the 46, he gains 3 more.
Interesting talking to Antoine Smith yesterday and just talking about his life and how he didn't play football until he was a senior in high school. Then he took 2 years off, 3 years off to work in a mill to support his dying grandmother, and then ultimately went to college after that because she said that's what she wanted him to do. That's what he did. Now he's making millions of dollars in the NFL because of it.
He earned $5.50 an hour dyeing cloth at the textile mill. Smith cuts it outside. Gains 4 yards to midfield.
The Rams, Kenny, are continuing to play an 8-man front. They told us yesterday they wanted to force the Bills to throw the ball, force the ball into Rob Johnson's hands. Now, Lorenzo Styles misses the tackle on this. Every Ram has a hole to fill, and there's Styles' hole. You see that? He's got to make that tackle. When you play an 8-man front, you put a defender in every gap. You've got to make the tackle if the guy comes through your gap.
Thurman Thomas has replaced Antoine Smith in the backfield. Johnson. And he is met at the line of scrimmage. Kevin Carter. Johnson could not find anybody downfield, and the Bills will punt it away.
Even though the Bills did not convert, Rob Johnson has to be happy. At least he was in a 3rd and short situation. The critical thing for the Bills is to keep him out of 3rd and 7+, because if you're in 3rd and 7+, the defense can blitz, and you can't even get the ball out to a hot route for a first down.
Chris Moore's first punt. Eddie Kennison returned one for a touchdown last week against the Vikings. Kennison across the 25 to the 26-yard line. Derek Holmes made the tackle, 44-yard punt, 20-yard return by Kennison. Back at Orchard Park, New York, the Buffalo Bills and the St. Louis Rams scoreless in the first quarter, the 8th all-time meeting between these clubs. Bills have won the last 3 as the Rams start from their own 27-yard line. Rams have not scored a point in the first quarter over their first 2 games. Banks to the air on first down, looking for Ricky Prohl. Ken Irvin on the coverage.
Boy, Ken Irvin has got to feel like you feel when you wake up on a snowy winter morning and you find out school's canceled, because he thought he was going to have to face Isaac Bruce all day long. Now, even though Ken Irvin was a teammate of Isaac Bruce in Memphis State, played against him day after day in practice, he knew that covering Isaac Bruce was going to be an awesome challenge. So it's going to be a little bit easier to cover Ricky Prohl than it was Isaac Bruce.
Second and 10, and the quick slant, incomplete. Eddie Kennison dropped a couple of balls last week and could not hold on to that one.
And Kenny, he dropped the same type of ball, the same type of square-in pattern. The ball's delivered there by Tony Banks, and Eddie Kennison has got to pull those in, especially with Isaac Bruce on the sideline. Eddie Kennison is the guy who's got to step up and replace him in that offensive passing game. You can't replace a guy when you're dropping the ball.
Tony Banks told us yesterday Kennison's great once he gets the ball in his hands.
That's right, and those guys are good friends. And even Tony Banks said, hey, I got to get on Eddie. If he could catch the ball, he could be a great one.
3 wide receivers, 3rd and 10. Banks throws it away. Under pressure from Marcellus Wiley, and the Rams once again go 3 and out.
One thing you'll hear, you talk about Marcellus Wiley, the Buffalo Bills defensive line, they like to rotate those guys in and out of the game. It keeps them fresh. It gives them a good pass rush a lot of times with just 4 guys in the game so they don't have to blitz.
Kevin Williams awaiting Rick Tootin's punt. Tootin back at his own 15. Williams from the 22, penalty marker on the punt. As Williams cuts to the outside, across midfield, forced out of bounds by the punter, Tootin. A 52-yard punt, a 30-yard return, and a penalty marker.
Now there's a flag down on the field, and there's a hat down on the field, and when the hat's down, that means that someone was out of bounds. And it could go either way. Either someone hit someone out of bounds, or someone didn't try to get in bounds.
The hat's out of bounds.
Soon enough. The hat's definitely out of bounds. But the hat goes down when somebody goes out of bounds.
Tony Correnti is our referee.
Two penalties on the play.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 82 on the kicking team. This penalty, by rule, is declined.
That's Tony Horn.
Holding. Holding, number 31 on the receiving team during the run.
Ray
This
Jackson.
penalty will be enforced. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So the Bills for their second offensive series of the afternoon when we return. No score, just over 5 minutes gone by in the opening quarter. Bills 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line. Johnson to the air on first down. Again, can't find anyone. He takes off, has the first down and more in Rams territory. Down to the 37-yard line as Johnson, who on his first pass attempt during the last series could not find anyone, same situation for a big gain.
This is what the Bills liked about Rob Johnson, why they brought him here from Jacksonville. This is what the Rams feared about Rob Johnson. There's the pass rush. They leave that lane open. This guy's got the wheels and the ability to get downfield and pick up a first down. This guy's cut out of the same mold as a Mark Brunell, a Steve Young, a Cordell Stewart. He's got the legs to pick up a first down on the ground.
A 32-yard gain by Johnson.
I got to tell you, Kenny, so far, this Bills offensive line has answered the bell because they came into this game, and we talked about it right in the opening. They came into this game just a group under fire. Lots of penalties, offsides things, mental mistakes, giving up sacks. So far, Johnson's had great protection. I mean, the Rams rushed 5 on that scramble. They gave him an iron wall, and they've opened it up to the run game, too. Antoine Smith's got about 26 yards and 5 carries already.
2nd and 6. Smith to the outside. Another Bills first down as Todd Light grabs him out of bounds after a gain of 13.
What an impressive run by Antoine. This is the kind of run that you see Thurman Thomas make. You think of Antoine Smith, you think of a straight-ahead guy. He's a big physical guy, but he sees somebody in the hole. Watch him make this cut. Beautiful cut to the outside, and then he's a big guy, but he's got the speed to beat Toby Wright to the corner and pick up a first down.
39 yards on 6 carries for Smith. Here's Thurman Thomas. And he's met after a short game by a trio of St. Louis Rams.
I thought after watching film on these guys all week that we were going to see more of Thurman Thomas, that the Bills needed to use more of Thurman Thomas, because it looked to me that Antoine Smith was more of a guy that would run to the hole. And the holes weren't there. The offensive line wasn't opening up holes. Thurman Thomas had more success last week than Antoine Smith because he was cutting it back against the grain of the defense. But so far today, the holes have been there, and Antoine Smith, you might as well leave him in the game.
2nd down and 9 from the Rams 19. Johnson's first pass attempt complete. Down to the Rams 13-yard line. Andre Reed for a gain of 6 yards.
Kenny, we talked about this offensive line. We talked about the protection. Rob Johnson sacked 8 times last week. Not sacked so far, but one of the things they wanted to do to help him not be sacked was to run little short patterns like this. So instead of Andre Reed running downfield on a 9 on a go route, just hook up short, make it a quick pass. Rob Johnson sets up, boop, ball comes out. Line does their job, everybody's happy.
Quick slant complete. Thurman Thomas inside the Rams 10. As Thomas signals first down.
Oh, yeah. Another quick pass. That makes it easy. And what's happening now is this Bills offensive line, man, their confidence is starting to build. They've opened up the run game, and Rob Johnson hasn't been touched yet.
Bills have had trouble scoring in the first quarter last season, as well as the first 2 weeks this year. Only 19 first quarter points in their last 18 games. First and goal from the 8. Antoine Smith. Good second effort. Toby Wright could not bring him down initially, as Smith picks up 4 more yards.
Well, this is what you'd expect. You know, going back to the Rams and this 8-man front, Toby Wright is the key. He's the safety that has to come up and play like a linebacker, and that's what he does. He fills the hole here, he comes up, and he makes the hit. He stops Antoine Smith, not in his tracks, because, again, Smith's a big, powerful guy, but at least Toby Wright made the tackle. The last time we saw Lorenzo Styles come up into the hole and miss his tackle.
Second and goal, play action, Johnson, touchdown! Sam Gash!
Drive for the Buffalo Bills. They worked it down the field, running, short passing, a Rob Johnson scramble, and a Sam Gash touchdown pass to score their first touchdown in the first quarter in a long, long time.
Steve Christie to kick off. Deep for St. Louis.
Sam Gash with the touchdown for the Buffalo Bills. Bills on top, 7-0.
And the first points scored by the Buffalo Bills in the first quarter this season. This is J.T. Thomas. And he is stopped shy of the 20-yard line. Marlo Perry. So the Rams, who have gone 3 and out on both of their offensive possessions so far in the first quarter, have fallen behind 7-0. Rams trailing the Bills 7-0. First and 10 from their own 20-yard line. Greg Hill to the outside. Forced out of bounds at the 25-yard line by Kurt Schultz after a gain of 5.
That's a tough way to get forced out of bounds, too. He took a hit.
A 6-yard
Jonathan Linton, one of the Bills' special team guys, limping off the field. Boy, Schultz really hammered that last play. That's why they call Kurt Schultz the wrecker.
Second and 4. Hill again to the outside, has the first down. And it was Schultz again dragging him out of bounds, a gain of 10.
Yeah, and running Kenny again right at Bruce Smith. When you've got a guy who's as fast upfield as Bruce Smith is, and watch him here. Look at the penetration Smith gets. And then Orlando Pace just gets him on the back, boop, knocks him out of the way. And then there's a nice corner for Greg Hill, who's got outstanding speed. And if he gets to the corner on you, he can hurt you. There's the record.
From the 36, Hill this time up the middle. He told us last night, Tim, he actually enjoys taking it straight up the middle because it is the shortest distance, as you know, between 2 points.
Yeah, that's what he reminded us of. And he said his grandmother always says to him, "Hey, Greg, how come they're always saying to you, calling you an outside runner? I thought you liked to run inside." He said, "Grandma, I do like to run inside, but they just say I'm an outside runner because I've got speed. Well, he likes to run up on the inside. You saw it there on that last play. The guy is not afraid to take it up and meet a little contact.
Hill replaced by Gerald Moore, who fumbled 3 times opening week. Play action, and Banks pass again. Kennison unable to make the catch.
Yeah, now that would have been a tough pass to catch for Kennison. It was thrown a little bit behind him, but again, he's got to do it. He's got to do it. The guy's got the speed. We know he's got the athletic ability. Watch here. He sees the corner playing way off. He breaks in again. Now see how that ball's thrown a little bit behind him, and he gets hammered by Holisek. But again, he's got to start to make those spectacular plays if the Rams are going to have success in their passing game with Isaac Bruce on the sideline.
3rd down and 5, 3 wide receivers. Banks from the shotgun. And Banks makes the connection with Ricky Proehl. 1st down inside the 40 to the 38-yard line. A gain of 21 yards.
Yeah, a beautifully delivered ball by Tony Banks. And then, we talked about Ken Irvin, who's got to cover Ricky Proehl. Sometimes, you think school's out, school's canceled, then, your mom ends up having you sweep the garage. Here's Kenny Irvin over here. He's got the coverage, and watch this. Proehl gets just a little bit of separation. So Ken Irvin thinking maybe, well, I don't have Isaac Bruce. Maybe you start to, look, naturally you do. You start to take it a little easy. It's Ricky Proehl. All of a sudden, Proehl beats you for a 1st down.
From the Bears, 39. Hill up the middle, now to the 34-yard line. A gain of 5. And right now for an NFL update on the Packers and the Bengals. James Brown.
Kenny and Tim, Favre, Robert Brooks victimizing the rookie Artrell Hawkins. That for a 37-yard pass play. They bounce back and lead it now 7-3. The Pack over Cincy.
Thanks, JB. And Kenny, that Robert Brooks catch, that's what I'm talking about with Kennison. That was a difficult catch to make, but receivers can make the quarterback that much better when they make great catches like that.
Greg Hill looked to bounce it outside, and then met a fellow by the name of Bruce Smith.
Yeah. And then the crowd, Bruce, because, look, they love this guy. One thing about running at Bruce Smith, if you're going to run at him, you better run at him, because he's coming upfield, and if you hesitate, look how slow this play is developing. And if the play is slow to develop, look, Bruce Smith's he's going to sniff it out, he's going to find you, run you down, and slam you to the turf in the backfield. You're going to run at him, you better do it. Look at he split right on the snap of the ball.
A loss of 2 on the play. 3rd down and 7. 3 wide receivers for Banks. Has the time, and the pitch is made. A beautiful catch by J.T. Thomas.
Beautiful. Now that's what we're talking about. That's what Tony Banks needs. And look, if Eddie Kennison isn't going to do it, J.T. Thomas has to. Because this ball is thrown behind J.T. Thomas. No doubt about it. You're going to see Bruce Smith. Watch Smith. He gets raced right around the outside. Remember, Kenny, you talked about him not being able to turn the corner. Look at that. That ball is thrown high and behind J.T. Thomas, but he brings it in. That's what Tony Banks needs. He needs those receivers to help him get the passing game going.
17 yards on the play from Banks to Thomas. From the Bills, 19. Greg Hill. And this time it was Marcellus Wiley, the 2nd-year Bill out of Columbia.
Unbelievable. A guy from Columbia, and I was talking with one of the Bills personnel people before the game, and he said, hey, Marcellus, how did you end up in Columbia? And he said, well, because the guy came out of California. There he is right there in the middle. Just sheds the guy, comes back inside, makes a tackle. He said, well, coming out of college, coming out of high school, I was 6 foot, 183. I was a running back and not very good. All of a sudden he goes to Columbia, he blooms. Very smart guy, by the way. Now he's a defensive lineman in the NFL. Powerful guy.
From the 17, the inside handoff to Derek Harris. And he works his way down to the 2-yard line. Harris, who did not play at all last season, gains 15 yards. He was on the Rams roster, but did not play in a game.
Well, you talk about power. I mean, look at the power on this. And what happens is Greg Hill's the decoy. Everybody's thinking, hey, Greg Hill to the outside. Just a little handoff. Harris hit it right up the middle like that. Now here's the power. Look at this. Wham! I mean, he did that to the record. That's Kurt Schultz. He wrecked the record.
Kurt Schultz, who became a father yesterday morning for the 2nd time, along with wife Susan. And that will do it for the first quarter with the Bills leading 7-0. Fox NFL Sunday will continue after these messages. On a 5-yard touchdown pass from Rob Johnson to Sam Gash, Bills lead the Rams, who have now been outscored this season in the first quarter 35-0, but right here, first play of the second quarter, they're on the Bills' 2-yard line.
Knocking on the door after a beautiful run up the middle by Derek Harris, the fullback.
Triple tight end set, and Hill tries to go over the top and is forced back.
Now, for Greg Hill, this is new territory, because he came from Kansas City, and anytime they got even close to sniffing the goal line, he'd come out, Marcus Allen would go in. You know, and he told us yesterday, hey, I am so happy to be in a situation with the team where I don't come out once we get into the red zone. Well, now he's finding out a little bit about the red zone, and it's not always as easy as it looks. Marcus Allen made it look easy.
Again, a triple tight end set. Derek Harris, the fullback, along with Greg Hill. Hill this time cuts to the outside, turns the corner, and is thrown out of bounds by Sam Cowart, the second-round draft pick from Florida State.
Talk about speed of a linebacker. Man, watch the speed here. Greg Hill's a 4-2 guy. He's a guy who can really take it to the outside. Now, look, this play's supposed to go up the middle there, but he sees there's no place to run. Greg Hill does what he does instinctively. Watch Cowart. Look at that. He runs him down, and then he heaves him out of bounds before he can get that ball over the end zone. Beautiful defense. Great defensive speed there by the young rookie.
They'll try it again. Third and goal.
They got to get this in. Oh, big guy got him.
Bruce Smith, who has led the AFC in sacks each of the last 2 years.
You can't block this guy with a tight end. Watch him coming from the outside. Look at that. We got a tight end on him. Ty.J. Armstrong. That ain't going to work. Hey, his knee may be hurt. He may not be able to take the corner. He's going to get around a tight end as sure as the day you're born.
27-yard field goal attempt is good. Jeff Wilkins puts the Rams on the scoreboard, but they are held to a field goal following first and goal on the 2. Wade Phillips enjoying things.
Kevin Williams.
Goal line stand by the Buffalo Bills defense, holding the Rams to a field goal. As Wilkins kicks it off, Williams will stay in the end zone. Touchback, so the Bills will start from their own 20-yard line early in the second quarter, leading the Rams 7-3. Buffalo Bills leading the St. Louis Rams by the score of 7-3. Early second quarter. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, the regular season comes to an end as the Mets face the Braves and try to get into the postseason, while Sammy Sosa and the Cubs will take on the playoff-bound Astros, plus other action with playoff implications. That is next Saturday, Fox Saturday Baseball. We will also bring you Mark McGuire's at-bats live during the Expos and the Cardinals. Antoine Smith on first down for a gain of 3.
I'll tell you, talk
Second down, 7.
Smith's limping a little bit. Now, he hurt that ankle last week against Miami. He had that thing twisted, got some treatment on it this week, and now you're seeing him limp a little bit. That's not a good sign.
Second down and 7. Johnson rolls to his left and then finds a receiver, Eric Moulds, at the 36-yard line, a gain of 13, forced out of bounds by Dexter McLeod.
I like that play. You know, if you got a guy like Rob Johnson, who's got the ability, and we saw him on that beautiful scramble play to set up the Bills' first touchdown, if he's got feet like this, hey, run the bootleg. There it is. Fake it, fake the toss to the other side, put Sam Gash out in front of him for a little blocking. And there's Eric Moulds getting himself wide open against McLeod.
Johnson 3 for 3, now 3 for 4. Broke it up by Mike A. Jones, one of two Rams defensive players named Mike Jones.
Yeah, that's just nice coverage by Jones. The Rams like his coverage ability, and a lot of times you've got to cover a back out of the backfield or a tight end coming out of the backfield. Look, that's Thurman Thomas. He does a beautiful job changing direction, and he breaks vertically on that play and just pops it right before Thurman Thomas can get it into his hands. That's beautiful coverage by a linebacker. Change directions with a back like Thurman Thomas.
2nd and 10, the pitch back to Thurman Thomas. Across the 45, dancing along the sidelines. A flag comes flying. Thomas gained 15. As we check in once again with Tony Corrente, who will huddle with his fellow officials, and it looks like holding against the Bills.
Holding, number 80, offense, 10-yard penalty.
That's Eric Moulds.
Repeat, 2nd down.
The Bills like to use their wide receivers to come in on these run plays and do some blocking. He's complaining about it because, you know, half the time, it seems to me, when a holding penalty is called, half the time they're holding, half the time they're not. And there's about 100 other times during the game when guys hold and then never gets called at all. It's too bad because the Bills do a nice job of getting the corner here. There's Moulds right there. And, you know, I mean, he has a little hold of the cloth on the shirt, but, you know, that happens all the time. Technically, he was holding.
Johnson on 2nd down. Dumps it off, and the ball pops loose out of bounds. Derek Holmes made the look to make the catch, but it is ruled an incomplete pass.
That's the kind of big play that Keith Lyle makes for the St. Louis Rams. You know, incredibly, I mean, this guy's got a ton of interceptions. He's a guy that loves to go to the ball, and he makes big plays. Now, I don't think he's had a great beginning of the season. I think the first couple games, he's been a little bit off in his timing. I've seen him slip and so forth. But that timing on that play was perfect because he came up from the defensive backfield, full force, full speed, and pops that ball out of there.
Lyle, more interceptions over the last 3 years than any other player in the NFL.
20, which is amazing.
Johnson on 3rd down. Holmes, the intended receiver once again. Ryan McNeil was right there.
That wasn't a good pass by Rob Johnson. He threw that behind Holmes, and he knows it. But so far, besides that pass, Rob Johnson's been pretty accurate. I mean, he has shown great accuracy today, but as we said from the beginning, they have not only they've reduced the amount of plays, they've made their passing game shorter. And so it's easier for him to be accurate with a shorter passing game.
Chris Moore, 43 yards on his first punt. And the play is blown dead. Flags come flying. So Moore will do it again.
If I said more, would I get a chuckle out of you?
M-O-R-E, M-O-H-R.
Delay a game. Number 47, defense, made a move trying to coax the offensive team into a false start. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
Now what that is the new flinch rule. Okay, so defenders are not allowed anymore to get up to the line of scrimmage and flinch to try to make the offensive guy jump. You can't do it. So the defensive guys do it all the time, a lot of times on 3rd down in punting situations. And I used to do it down on the goal line where it was real noisy and you'd flinch and you get that offensive lineman to jump and get a 5-yard penalty.
No more flinching.
No more.
Moore angling it towards the sidelines. And another flag, another hat. "46 yards on the punt by Moore. The hat signifying a player who went out of bounds. The hat was thrown before the flag.
There is no foul on the play. The blocker was bumped into the receiver by his own man. First down.
So no penalty, a 47-yard punt by Moore. We'll be right back. Albert, Tim Green back at Orchard Park, New York, where the Buffalo Bills lead the St. Louis Rams by the score of 7-3. And the Rams will start from their own 13-yard line. Head coach Dick Vermeil called the offensive plays last week, but this afternoon it's Jerry Rome, the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Jerry Rome calls the plays from the box. He calls them down to Kurt Warner, the third-string tight end, and then Kurt Warner uses the helmet headset and gets it into Tony Banks. On first down, Ant Lee takes the handoff from Banks, his first carry of the game, and the former 49er and Viking gains 5. What you have to understand about the Buffalo Bills defense is that without Isaac Bruce in the game, it's like the Bills get to play with an extra guy. Because if Isaac Bruce was in the game, the Bills knew that they were going to have to double cover Bruce almost all day. That means taking one of these safeties, either Henry Jones there or Kurt Schultz on the other side, and roll them out into coverage so that there's always a guy deep covering Isaac Bruce and the cornerback can cover him short. Without that, safety can come up, play the run.
Second down and 5. Greg Hill across the 20-yard line. Bills worked on their game plan, Tim, all week, and the number one focus was Bruce. Does it throw them off at all to find out an hour before the game that Bruce is inactive?
No, I mean, it makes it great because they're already to step 2. Step 1 for the Bills was, look, we're going to have to try to shut down the run game with 7 guys because we're going to have to use, 2 guys, 1 safety, a cornerback on the other receiver, and 2 guys to cover Isaac Bruce. So they're already to step 2. They can shut down the run game with 7 guys or 8 guys if they want.
3 wide receivers. Thomas in motion. 3rd and 3. And Banks' pass was deflected. And it falls incomplete. He also took a hit.
The Bills, Kenny, have been able, with this guy here, have been able to have an excellent pass rush with only rushing 4. Now, a blitz to the Buffalo Bills is they send an extra guy. They send 5. So you don't see the Bills typically sending safeties and cornerbacks and a bunch of different linebackers because with Bruce Smith, over the last 14 years, they've been able to have a very strong pass rush with just the defensive line.
Rick Chute back at his own 6-yard line. Good kick, forces Williams all the way back to the 21. Williams across the 35 out of bounds at the 37-yard line. A 59-yard punt by Chuten, 16 on the return. (7-3) lead for the Buffalo Bills in their 1998 home opener. Next week, a Fox NFL doubleheader as the NFC champion Packers head to Carolina to meet the Panthers. And some of you will see the St. Louis Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. And then it will be the 49ers and the 2-0 Falcons next week on Fox NFL Sunday. Antoine Smith.
Right? I told you at the beginning of the year, I said the Falcons have got a good team. 2-0.
2-0. Victories their first 2 weeks off today. And they will take on the 49ers next week in San Francisco. And the New Orleans Saints also 2-0. Off to a good start under Mike Ditka. Lonnie Johnson, the tight end, in motion. 2nd down and 5. Smith for a short gain. During the Bills' scoring drive in the first quarter, Rob Johnson, a key play as he scrambled for 32.
Yeah, well, his offensive line does a nice job protecting him. He sees no one downfield, and then here's Rob Johnson using those legs and the great running ability he has to scramble, pick up a big first down, and then a few plays later, it's Sam Gash. Little play action pass, Gash wide open in the end zone.
Johnson was the Bills' leading rusher in their game against Miami last week. Right here, facing a 3rd down and 4 from their own 42-yard line. Johnson over the top. Thurman Thomas in Rams territory. First down and much, much more. Down to the St. Louis 38, a gain of 20.
Because Rob Johnson is in 3rd and 4, the Rams defense can't blitz. it's much more risky to blitz in 3rd and 4. But watch what Rob Johnson does in this play. He looks downfield, doesn't see his guys open, and he dumps off the short pass to Thurman Thomas. Rob Johnson has just taken a step in his game, because Joe Kendry said last week he was looking more downfield. Actually, it was Wade Wilson said.
First down from the 38-yard line. Play action. And Johnson again makes the connection. Eric Mould's second catch of the game. Yes, Wade Phillips told us yesterday that Johnson is more apt to look downfield or take off, that the dump-off pass is not natural to Johnson yet.
But it seems like it's becoming natural today. Yeah, Wade Phillips, of course. I said Wade Wilson, my old teammate, quarterback. But yeah, I mean, and Johnson so far today has completed a lot of balls, and most of them have been short passes. I mean, the longest one he's had is 13 yards.
50 yards in all, 6 of 9. 2nd and 8. As Johnson looked to roll to his left, and he saw DeMarco Farr and Mike A. Jones in his face.
And there's that pressure that the Rams defense hoped to exert a lot sooner than with 7 minutes to go in the second quarter. This is what they wanted right from the start. They wanted these guys to get some penetration up front and get on Rob Johnson right away. Nice redirection by DeMarco Farr. He's a quick guy, always an upfield guy. I think that's the first time I've seen Johnson take a hit to the chops.
And he was banged around in each of the first 2 games, suffered a concussion week 1. Was still wearing bandages on his hands and legs yesterday.
Yeah, he looked like he came out of the hospital ward when he came in to meet me.
Johnson looking for Eric Moulds off his fingertips.
Johnson pass intended for
Eric Moulds is a guy who has great physical talent and ability, and we've seen him make some beautiful catches. Last week he made a spectacular catch in the end zone for a touchdown, and here this ball is thrown just on his fingertips, and he's got to make a beautiful catch, and he doesn't. Now here's Johnson taking another shot from DeMarco Farr. That one hurt. That jarred him.
For St. Louis.
On 4th down, Moore standing at midfield to try and keep it from entering the end zone. And he did. A beautiful punt by Moore. Catching the corner just inside the 2-yard line.
Back in Buffalo, Eric Smedley is the gunner. His job is to get downfield and knock this ball out of bounds before it goes into the end zone. He doesn't knock it out of bounds, but he's there to kind of make the call or help the official make the call.
Ball didn't need any help.
No.
It bounced out on its own. So the Rams start from their own 2-yard line. Greg Hill.
Uh-oh, look out.
Hill still on his feet across the 40 to the 47-yard line. Finally chased down by Thomas Smith. A gain of 45 yards.
Man, that's what a guy like Greg Hill, who's got that speed to run to the outside. But if he ever gets up the middle on you, look out, because the safeties most times are going to miss him. So watch it here. It's right up the gut. He takes it right in the hole, and once he squeezes through that hole, now the safeties miss him, and the cornerbacks have got to run him down. And the only reason Thomas Smith runs him down is he's got an angle on him.
Officially 46 yards.
He's got to come take a breather now.
That's a way to pick up some field position in a hurry.
Take yourself right out of a hole and turn the thing right around.
And the play blown dead.
Yeah,
penalty markers.
If this is a delay of game, which it is,
Offense, 5-yard penalty remains first down.
this is something that Tony Banks told us yesterday that he has really struggled with. He said the plays come in late, and I've talked to Coach Ramil about it, and I thought that's one of the reasons why Jerry Rome was going to be calling the plays, because it's Rome's offense. But Dick Vermeil likes to make the calls, but today Rome's the guy making the calls, and Tony Banks thought the call was going to be coming in sooner and allow him to avoid those delay of game penalties.
Play action. Banks looking downfield. And it's incomplete. Eddie Kennison. Or did he make the catch?
I think he got it. Yeah, they're calling it a catch. There it is.
So Kennison this time did hold on.
And I'll tell you what, it's not a beautiful pass. Watch Kennison, watch the separation Kennison gets on Thomas Smith. Look at this, puts a move. Now here's where Kennison's strong. Look at that speed. Look how much he's got him beat by. He's got to slow down and then battle for that ball. That's the kind of catch I was talking about. We said it in the beginning. Eddie Kennison's got to make those kind of catches, and if he does, he's going to open up this Rams offense. He just opened it up.
45-yard reception. And now Banks calls timeout with the play clock winding down. It was down to 2. Banks uses his first timeout.
Yeah, that's a problem, and it's something that they've struggled with. And I think part of the answer was to get Jerry Rome to call the plays directly. Tony Banks felt they'd come in a little more crisper and a little quicker, but we haven't seen that on this series yet.
The Rams started from their own 2-yard line, but 2 huge plays. The longest run of Greg Hill's NFL career, 46 yards.
Yeah, right up the middle, too.
Up the middle, and then a 45-yard connection from Banks to Kennison.
And I love the way Kennison fought for this ball. I mean, Tony Banks puts it up, and basically it's one of those balls where the quarterback's saying, okay, I believe in you. You got to fight to bring this down. Look how badly Kennison has Thomas Smith beat. Look at it. Now he's got to slow down and watch. Now here's the critical point right there. The ball's in his hands. Thomas Smith gets his hand on Eddie Kennison's arm. Kennison hangs on. Beautiful catch.
Ant Lee in the backfield. 3 wideouts. Greg Hill. Hill to the end zone. Touchdown, Rams, and they lead for the first time this season.
Oh, man, what a block by Orlando Pace on that play right there. Man, did he open up a hole. Pace and Fred Miller, this is a great play for the Rams. Watch, they spread the defense out. They send Ant Lee out in motion to spread it out. Look at this blocking here. Look at that. Look at Pace. Man, he gets right up under Sam Rogers and just blasts him back. And then great speed and acceleration by Greg Hill. Straight up the field. Hey, Greg, we're not calling you an outside runner anymore, man. We see some beautiful runs right up the pipe.
Wilkins hands the point after a 3-play, 98-yard drive. How often do you see that?
You don't very often, and some beautiful plays. 2 excellent runs by Greg Hill, and then a beautiful catch by Eddie Kennison to fight, hold on to that football. Greg Hill ran out, he's losing his shoe. He's going to have to spat that thing up. Watch this blocking here. Here's Orlando Pace. Look at this. Nice block down. There's Fred Miller there. Look, Miller gets a block on Holisek. That's outstanding work. Everybody is getting a block up front. And Greg Hill, instead of breaking it outside, look at this. Turns it right up. And, you know, when you turn it right up, there's Big Ted Washington gets a hand on him. That's the reason why it's dangerous. You know, the big guys are swimming around in there like sharks, you know. So if you're going to turn it up, man, you're taking a chance on taking a big hit.
And there is Kurt Warner, who you mentioned earlier, the 3rd quarterback, who sends the plays in from offensive coordinator Jerry Rome. A 3-play, 98-yard drive, giving the Rams their first lead of the season.
Wow. And Dick Vermeil's got to be particularly pleased because these guys are doing it without Isaac Bruce. I mean, you have to remember that. That is a huge handicap for the Rams, to not have your team's best player.
Last year, Bruce missed 4 of the first 5 games with a hamstring injury. They won 2 of those 4. And they lead right here, 10-7.
Dick Vermeil's got to be listened to his players. His players said, we need to cut back on practice time. Vermeil said, hey, I believe in my guys. I trust them. So
Kevin Williams out across the 30 to the 33-yard line. 33 yards on the return. Leonard Little made the tackle. Well, Tim, tonight, the best night on television begins with an all-new World's Funniest, followed by an all-new Holding the Baby and The Simpsons season premiere. Then it's a battle of the sexes on that 70s show, followed by The X-Files. Tim's favorite. It all starts tonight at 7, 6 Central on Fox.
Oh, yeah, The X-Files.
And, of course, you live in nearby Syracuse. You'll be home in time.
I will. Won't even have to use a VCR tonight.
First down Bills from the 33, and Johnson is clobbered by Kevin Carter, his 2nd sack of the season.
Man, Kevin Carter mauled him, too. You know what surprises me about that play? Is Kevin Carter comes untouched. And the Bills told us yesterday, look, we got to have not just one guy, we got to have 2 guys on Kevin Carter. big smile on Kevin Carter's face. Look, the guy's got size, the guy's got speed. Look at this here. Nobody touches him, and he comes unencumbered, wham, and just sends Rob Johnson right to the turf. That hurts.
And a correction, Tim, it's Carter's 3rd sack of the year, 2nd today. He was credited with the sack when Johnson took off in the first quarter and was stopped just shy of the line of scrimmage. Again, yeah. Johnson under tremendous pressure.
And I think, again, Kevin Carter was the guy who got that ball and knocked it down. You know, Kevin Carter, he's a Bruce Smith type of guy. He's a big, tall, rangy guy who can run, and he's got great athleticism. He can rush the passer on the outside. He's a strong guy. He plays the run well. And whenever you see a defensive end just get his hand up there at the last second, swat the ball down, you know he's got great athletic ability. Bruce Smith does that.
Dick Vermeil last night referred to Kevin Carter as a sleeping giant.
Yeah.
He's awake today. 3rd and 17. 3 wide receivers for the Bills. Johnson dumps it off. Thurman Thomas. Thomas cutting down the sidelines. Forced out at the 47-yard line, and he picks up the first down. He needed 17. He gained 21.
Wow. I got to tell you, I want you to watch the relentless blocking on this play by Ruben Brown. There's Brown, 79. Watch what he does on this play. Look at this. Bang. He gets into the linebacker. Bang, bang. He never stops blocking. He never stops blocking, and that's why Thurman Thomas is able to pick up that first down. A lot of times, big offensive lineman gets out there, gets one little knock on a guy, and stops. Ruben Brown kept going. He was responsible for that first down.
Johnson over the top, and the catch is made by the tight end, Jay Riemersma, into St. Louis Rams territory, and a scuffle. Flags come flying. Riemersma also lost the football, but the question is, was he down?
Well, I got to tell you, it's really working for the Bills, what they wanted to do. First, they are able to run the ball. Second, the short passing game is very effective for them.
And the flag looks to be against Buffalo. At least the Bills think so. They've gone about 20 yards back for the huddle.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 72, offense. 15-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's Joe Panos. Now look, this offensive line has come under a lot of criticism over the last couple of weeks because of the sacks they've given up, because of the penalties they've committed. But an offensive lineman, look at that. What he's doing, look, he's taught to do that. Because he sees Toby Wright on top of one of his guys with the ball, and he is taught to come down and you clean up the pile. Because if they're putting guys on your guy, you protect your guy, you clean up the pile. I'm not saying it's not a penalty. I'm just saying for an offensive line that's trying to reestablish themselves as a unit, as a unit that's going to lead the team, toughness, all that stuff, you see a guy who's piling on to your guy, you're going to clean the pile.
And the Bills call their first timeout with 3:23 remaining in the first half, trailing the Rams by the score of 10-7.
The problem with this penalty is it could be a critical drive-killing penalty, and that's one of the things that the Bills' offensive line has had problems with.
Well, we shall see. Coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris with scores and highlights from around the National Football League. And our Fox Sports ticker will bring you up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa Halftime Report. And we will also update you on the status of Mark McGwire as he looks to add to his home run total. Johnson to Andre Reed, met immediately by Dexter McCleon. Reed's second catch today, a gain of 6.
And again, it's that short passing game that they're trying to establish and really let Rob Johnson grow slowly. It was interesting talking to Wade Phillips yesterday and a lot of people say, how could you pay $25 million for a guy who really isn't that proven? He said, well, hey, look what the Colts did. Look what the Chargers did. They're paying guys tons of money coming out of college. This guy had more experience and more success in the NFL than either of them.
Eric Moulds Makes the catch at the Rams' 42-yard line, wrapped up by McLeon.
And that's another reason why they paid Rob Johnson the big money, why they gave him the $25 million contract, because that's what he can do. Right there on that play, he throws the ball with great accuracy. But he should, right? I mean, he grew up, his dad is a quarterback's coach, so he grew up right from the get-go. He always knew how to throw the ball, always knew the correct way, the correct steps, how to read defenses, all the techniques he learned from his dad.
Dad Bob, a high school coach in Southern California. Play action on first down, and Johnson is taken down. DeMarco Farr coming up with his third sack of the season.
And what happens when Kevin Carter becomes the focus of your concentration as an offensive line? This guy becomes very dangerous, because look at Farr right there. He's got one guy to beat. It's Joe Panos, and he goes right by him with his outstanding quickness and comes up with a big sack for the Rams.
And we have hit the 2-minute warning from Orchard Park. Well, they need coolers today in Buffalo, not heaters.
That's a little different.
80-degree day in Orchard Park. Second and 18 following the sack. As Johnson's pass complete. Once again, it's the tight end Remersma down to the Rams 33. Charlie Clemens made the stop, a gain of 17.
Yeah, Rams come with only 4 pass rushers, and the Bills' offensive line does a nice job of protecting Rob Johnson. And again, it's that short passing game right down the center. Look at there's Kevin Carter right up top. He gets a chip. He gets double blocked. 2 guys blocking Kevin Carter, and then nice protection there, enabling Rob Johnson to get that pass off.
Third down and 1. Antoine Smith. Oh, what a second effort. What a second effort on third and 1.
Wow. How about that? He looks like he's shaken up.
It looked like he would be hit for a loss, which would set up 4th down, but instead Smith gains 6.
What a beautiful run. Does that surprise you, though? I mean, a guy that takes 3 years out of his life to work in a mill to take care of his grandma. Look at this. Look at this. Just won't stop. Just keeps going. Banged around, knocked around, picks up a key first down. Look at this. Wow, look at this effort. Man, that's the stuff you love about this game, the National Football League.
Johnson to Sam Gash.
Oh,
inside the 10 to the 8.
How about that? How about those last 3 yards? I'll tell you what, this Bills team is playing inspired, tough, hard-nosed football.
17-yard gain.
With under a minute remaining.
It's just a little bootleg play. It's the same play they ran earlier. Rob Johnson delivered the ball down the field. This time he delivers it to Sam Gash on the underneath pattern. But I just love Gash's second effort. Watch it here. Okay, so there's the bootleg. He fakes the pitch the other way and then just dumps it right off to Sam Gash. Watch this here. Gash has got 1 guy, 2 guys. Look at this. Whoa, driving, churning. 2, 3 extra yards. It's like it's life and death for this guy. That's the thing you got to have out of a fullback. For a fullback, every yard you've just got to fight and scrap for it.
Curtis Martin gained 1,000 yards 3 seasons in a row in New England, thanks in large part to the blocking of Gash.
Yeah, and so far today we've seen him do some nice jobs catching the ball and then running after the catch.
Bills have called their second timeout with 57 seconds remaining. Second quarter. First and goal from the Rams' 8-yard line. Bills took a 7-0 lead. Rams have scored 10 consecutive points. Remersma in motion. Double tight end set. Motion. And penalty markers come flying.
Yeah, it looked like Ruben Brown. He had 3 of those things last week. 3 of them.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 79, offense, 5-yard penalty. Remains
it's Ruben Brown.
first down.
But I'll tell you what, even though the offensive line, we saw Panos with a couple penalties earlier. Here's Ruben Brown right here. He's going to go offsides. But so far, even though they've had a few miscues, they've had a lot less than they had last week, and they've done a nice job in the run game and also in the pass protection, giving Rob Johnson the time he needs.
Johnson's hit on 6 consecutive pass attempts. First and goal from the 13. Moulds in motion. Johnson fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Andre Reed.
Some good football right there for the Buffalo Bills. We saw good football by the Rams. Now we're seeing good football right back at you by the Bills.
Christie adds the extra point.
And the thing I love about this drive that results in the Bills' touchdown, Kenny, was Antoine Smith refusing to go down and picking up a critical first down. Watch the protection here. Now, Rob Johnson is able to step up. Watch him step up. He feels the pressure from Carter from the outside. He's able to step up because his line gives him the pocket. And when he steps up, he has the time and the ability to just lace this ball right in there. Just over the underneath coverage by the linebacker and just in front of the cornerback coverage by Dexter McCleon.
83rd touchdown of Andre Reed's illustrious career, 10th most in league history. And he also has become the first Buffalo Bill non-kicker to score more than 500 points in a career.
And you know, Andre Reed is only going to get better. This is a new offense. Andre Reed missed a lot of training camp, missed a lot of time with some injuries, and he really doesn't have the chemistry with Rob Johnson that he will have, because every game Reed and Johnson are getting to get to know each other a little bit better as players, and I think that combination is going to be dangerous.
He spent 10 years with the same quarterback, Tim Kelly. So career touchdown number 83 for number 83, Andre Reed. And the Bills have regained the lead.
They got some enthusiastic fans here, too. I love to see guys painting their face, you know, because it just tells you that, hey, I'm willing to do anything to let everybody know I'm a fan.
One of our Fox colleagues, Ray Bentley, a former Bill, used to paint his face.
Yeah, I think it's a Buffalo thing.
Tony Horn down to one knee. So the Rams with 52 seconds to try and drive 80 yards. They trail by 4. Tuesday after an all-new King of the Hill, it's the new series Costello plus an all-new Guinness World Records prime time. Fox's night of new episodes starts Tuesday at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
And that Guinness World Records, that's Chris Collinsworth, right? He's got that show. JB's got the World's Funniest on Sunday nights. Collinsworth's got Guinness. Joe Buck's got a show. Ripley's, believe it or not. Fox Sports guys all over the airwaves.
And some of us are writing books.
That's right.
Rams drove 98 yards on their last possession, but the clock winding down, under 45 seconds remaining in this first half.
Take a look at the two quarterbacks. Tony Banks, only 40% completion. Rob Johnson doing quite a bit better, with almost twice the amount of yardage and 2 touchdowns to Tony Banks, 0.
And Banks, of course, without Isaac Bruce.
But Banks did have that one key throw to Eddie Kennison to set up their first touchdown.
At 45 yards. And the Rams will run out the clock. Hill up the middle. As he approaches the 100-yard mark. That will do it for the first half. Greg Hill, 14 carries, 100 yards for the Rams, plus a touchdown. But the Buffalo Bills in their home opener, they lost their first 2 on the road, both close games. Rams lost their first 2 at home, both by a touchdown.
Of course, Dick Vermeil, has to play without Isaac Bruce. But his offensive line's done a nice job, and Greg Hill has really, again, exploded onto the scene for the St. Louis Rams.
Tonight, the world's funniest will put...
Back in Orchard Park at halftime, a 14-10 lead for the Buffalo Bills over the St. Louis Rams. I'm Kenny Albert with Tim Green. And for Dick Vermeil today, Tim, no Isaac Bruce, out with a hamstring injury. The NFL's leading receiver, Greg Hill, however, more than compensating for the loss of Bruce.
Well, we said right from the start that, one, the offensive line for the Rams was going to have to compensate. They were going to have to open up some holes, and they have. And then we said the other thing was Greg Hill was going to really have to run, and, man, he has run. Watch this here. Not just run to the outside with his speed, but right up the center. Nice blocking by the Bills line, and then breaks his back to the center of the field, accelerates downfield, caught by a defensive back with an angle on him. But again, here it is. Here's Greg Hill. Gets to the outside, but then he cuts it right back up to center for the touchdown.
His career long, a 46-yard run, followed by the 12-yard touchdown run. Greg Hill in the first half, 14 carries for 101 yards and the TD. Tim, time now for our You Call It internet question from FoxSports.com. How many turnovers will the Rams have in the second half? They did not turn the ball over at all in the first half. Log on to www.foxsports.com to answer our You Call It bonus question. And Tim, our Ask the Pros question comes to us from Jim of Chester, Pennsylvania. And Jim would like to know what your take is on the way the Rams players have said earlier this week that Dick Vermeil works them too hard with 3-hour practices.
Well, I think what it was is not so much the players working them too hard, or Dick Vermeil working them too hard, but Dick Vermeil working them a little too long. And obviously the players were right, because even Dick Vermeil told us before the game in the Fox Watch that, yes, I think I was working my guys a little bit too long, and he actually cut practices back from about 3 hours to about 2 hours and 15 minutes. Now, it doesn't mean they're not working hard, because Dick Vermeil hasn't cut out a lot of the work, but he's doubled up some drills to get the players on the field and off the field so they're not standing around as long, getting their backs tight, things like that.
Dick told us his UCLA team back in 1976 nearly revolted prior to the Rose Bowl, and they wound up upsetting number 1 Ohio State. So he has gone through a similar situation before. Kevin Williams stays in the end zone, so a touchback. Bills will start the second half from their own 20-yard line.
Well, Kenny, I know we talked about the Rams and Greg Hill and the great running that he's had, but you got to look at the Bills too. Their run game has been excellent as well. Their offensive line has been very strong, not only to have 102 yards on the ground, but to give quarterback Rob Johnson the time he's needed to pick up 130 yards in the air, as well as 2 touchdown passes.
Antoine Smith on the first play of the second half, a gain of 2 yards.
I think what we're going to see in this second half from the Buffalo Bills is more of the same. You know, more of that running game. Hey, they got over 100 yards in the first half. They're going to continue to pound away, pick up yards on the ground, keep Rob Johnson throwing those nice short passes. And then every once in a while, I believe we'll see Rob Johnson go up top.
Second and 7. Johnson over the top, as he said, for the first down. It's the tight end, Lonnie Johnson, his first reception of the game.
Lonnie Johnson is a guy who really has a tremendous amount of potential. You know, Wade Phillips talked to us about it yesterday. He said, look, the guy has everything, but he hasn't put it together consistently so far. He does on this play. Watch him break across the center of the field, right into the open spot, and make a nice catch from Rob Johnson.
A gain of 10 on the play from Johnson to Johnson. And now Rob Johnson airing it out. Eric Moulds. And he made the catch at the Rams 26.
As I said, they're going to, run game, short pass, and then I think they're going to try to go up top and go long. That's their up top play, and it's a beautiful connection between Rob Johnson and Eric Moulds. You know, we talked about Andre Reed and Johnson not having the great chemistry because Reed missed a lot of training camp. Well, that was to the benefit of Eric Moulds. Beautiful catch, beautiful concentration by Eric Moulds on that play, because you saw the ball tipped off his hands, bounced off his pads, and he still brought it in.
A gain of 41 yards. Antoine Smith, met initially by Keith Lyle. A gain of 3 down to the Rams 23.
Well, I was a little worried about Antoine Smith, Kenny, in the first half when we saw him pick up that critical first down when they were 3rd and 1. We saw him battling, and then he got knocked out of bounds, got twisted up a little bit, but he looks like he's back to form. Interesting talking to him yesterday and having him talk about how he loved basketball, just loved basketball, but people kept telling him, hey, you could have a career in football.
Quick drop, and Johnson makes the connection with Reed inside the 15. Another Bills first down.
You know, we talked about, I know, great catch by Reed, nice connection there between Rob Johnson and Reed, nice quick passing. But Antoine Smith, again, sets up this play, so we see that he can not only run the ball with great determination, but he had a nice pickup on the pass blocking to enable Johnson to have time to throw downfield.
Kevin Carter of the Rams out with a calf strain, replaced by Jay Williams. The pass batted and nearly picked off by Todd Light.
Yeah, that looked like Johnson just tried to throw it through the defense. Literally. Of course, he's got that protective thing on his chin there, Kenny, with the 16 stitches underneath from a hit he took a couple weeks ago. Doug Flutie came in to replace him, did a nice job. Johnson's been very, very sharp today.
He had completed 10 in a row until that last attempt. Thurman Thomas.
Oh, man.
Into the end zone. Touchdown, Bills.
Talk about blocking. Beautiful blocking up front by the Buffalo Bills, by the line and Sam Gash. Watch it here. Lonnie Johnson gets his block. Bang! Sam Gash gets his block. John Fina gets his block. There's a body on a body for everybody. And the Rams defense is just open up like a sardine can.
And Thurman Thomas, like Andre Reed earlier, goes over the 500-point mark. His first touchdown of the season. He had only one all of last year. Back at Orchard Park, the Buffalo Bills home opener, and they lead the St. Louis Rams by the score of 21-10. This is J.T. Thomas across the 20, and then he is forced back. Dan Brandenburg made the stop, a 24-yard return by Thomas.
And Kenny, let's go back and look at Thurman Thomas's touchdown run. I want you to watch the outstanding job of blocking. If we could stop this thing right here, look at this. You got a block here, a block here, a block here, right? And the inside is sealed off. Thurman Thomas just has a foot race to beat Keith Lyle to the end zone, and he does. But, man, it's just pretty blocking up front by that Bills offensive line.
His 84th career touchdown. Rams 1st and 10 from their own 23. Banks to Ricky Proehl, bounces away, picked off by Kurt Schultz. The first turnover of the game, first interception of the season by Schultz.
That one was a gift from heaven for Kurt Schultz. Pass delivered by Banks to Ricky Proehl, and it just popped, boop, bounced right up in the air, came down softly, right into Schultz's hands. Proehl's down here. You're going to see him break here to the inside, and the ball is delivered pretty well. There's that break. Actually, the ball was a little behind Ricky Proehl. I'm going to take that back. That ball was thrown behind Proehl. So it bounced off Proehl's hands and into Schultz's, but it was a poorly thrown pass by Tony Banks that led to that interception.
So the Bills start from their own 16-yard line. Johnson to the end zone, touchdown. Jay Riemersma, 16 yards. And the Bills capitalize on the first play following the Rams turnover.
You know, Kenny, the Rams told us yesterday, they said, we're nervous about the tight end from the Bills because Joe Pendry, who's the Bills' new offensive coordinator, used to really hurt us when he was with the Carolina Panthers. They'd get down to the red zone, they'd get that tight end going, and Riemersma has been the guy. Carolina, it was Wesley Walls, but boy, Joe Pedri going back to his old trick of using the tight end against this Rams defense. And there's Rob Johnson's reaction with his third TD of the day.
Steve's band.
Well, Kurt Schultz with the interception just moments ago. Held on to the football, perhaps a present for Daniel David Schultz, born at 11 yesterday morning. Kurt missed the team picture. He was at the hospital with White Susan.
I think he'd rather have the ball from the big interception than the team picture.
And here's J.T. Thomas once again. Thomas out to the 26-yard line. John Holasek made the stop.
And this, Kenny, is where I think the Rams are going to miss Isaac Bruce the most. Because if you're the Rams and you're down by 18 points and you've got Isaac Bruce, that's not that big of a deal. But without Isaac Bruce, man, the pressure is really on Tony Banks and his other crew of wide receivers to start stretching the field, get downfield, get them some points back into this game. There's Isaac Bruce on the sideline.
Tony Banks only 4 of 11 for 83 yards and the 1 interception. Play clock winding down. Greg Hill, who is already over the 100-yard mark, his 4th career 100-yard game, brought down by Holasek after a gain of 9.
And that's more nice blocking up front by Orlando Pace and Fred Miller. Again, going at Bruce Smith. You saw Bruce Smith shoot into the backfield on that last play, and they ran right at him. They just kind of ignored him, ran past him, and Pace and Fred Miller, some big-bodied guys. If these guys get it together and get in sync as they're starting to, man, they can move some guys out of the way. Look at these 2 big hogs up front there. There's Bruce Smith. He's left in the backfield. But look at those guys block. Wham! They get their bodies on the linebackers, get them going backwards, and Greg Hill's able to get pretty close. Actually, he's able to
He got it with the extension, did in fact pick up the first down.
Look at the size of these guys. I mean, these guys have got that's a lot of mass right there. And they're good athletes, too. That's what everybody says about Orlando Pace. People, Bruce Smith told us yesterday, he said, look, this guy's going to be one of the great tackles to ever play the game. And it's because Orlando Pace is so big, but he moves like a smaller man. What did Dick Vermeil say? He's down about 311?
311, he lost 25 pounds.
He's getting a little lean.
And Banks forced to call timeout with the play clock winding down. It was down to 1. Early 3rd quarter, 28-10 Bills. Well, the Rams led this one 10-7. Bills scored 3 consecutive touchdowns on their last 3 possessions. 3 touchdown passes for Rob Johnson today, a career best.
Rams come out in a passing formation.
3 wide receivers. Banks rolling right, looking downfield. And Ricky Proehl, what an extension. Makes the catch and a flag comes
Beautiful
flying.
catch. I think he was out of bounds, though.
2 officials without their hats, which would indicate that somebody,
and if Proehl was out of bounds, yeah, he cannot be the first person to touch the ball unless he was forced out of bounds
right,
illegally. Either way, it was a beautiful effort by Ricky Proehl.
Two penalties. There's Tony Correnti.
Holding number 28 on the defense. Illegal touching of a short pass by a receiver, was out of bounds, came back and touched the ball on the offense. These penalties offset. Replay first down.
So Proehl did in fact step out of bounds without being forced.
Yep.
And Thomas Smith called for the hold.
Yeah, now here's Proehl right here. Ken Irvin working on him. Irvin just back, puts the move on him. And there it is, right there. Out of bounds, cannot be the first person to touch that ball. Too bad, too, because, as I said, as you said, it's a beautiful catch.
Proehl led the Chicago Bears in receiving last season. So the Rams will do it again. First down from their own 36-yard line. Amp Lee in motion. Banks overthrows Ernie Conwell, picked off. It's Schultz again.
Wow. Wow. Tony Banks with 4 interceptions last week is having the same kind of problems today. Banks has got a strong arm, and at times he throws the ball with great accuracy, but at times he also throws the ball with great inaccuracy. This is one of those times. Now he's got some pressure on him, but he lofts this ball right into Schultz's hands. Boy, Schultz must be feeling pretty good. I mean, he has Baby Boy yesterday, and today he gets 2 interceptions. Both of them just dumped right into his hands.
1 football for each child.
Must be living, man.
Damn it.
Antoine Smith out to the 45-yard line.
Here's Kurt Schultz, the wrecker. He looks like a wrecker, doesn't he? Look at that. He's got marks. He's got welts all over his head.
2 interceptions here in this 3rd quarter for Kurt Schultz. Hill scored 14 points within a 25-second span earlier this quarter. Looking to add to their lead. Smith once again into St. Louis Rams territory. Toby Wright finally brought him down after a gain of 7.
Well, these guys are doing a nice job up front for Buffalo. I like the blocking. I like the lead block by Sam Gash. Watch the hole. Here it comes right here. Nice blocking up front. A man on a man. There's Sam Gash. He knocks out Lorenzo Styles, and they provide some nice running room for Antoine Smith. Smith's a big guy, and you'd think that his biggest asset would be as a power runner, but really his biggest asset is his speed.
Andre Reed in motion. And Johnson had trouble with the snap.
The Rams have it.
And the Rams have recovered. First Bills turnover.
Fumble on the snap. Recovered by St. Louis.
Ray Agnew's the guy who brings it up. You know, sometimes you're rutting around in there, you're a nose guard, you know, you're knocking around, you don't get too much credit, and all of a sudden there's the ball.
Take over 1st and 10 on their 49-yard
back around. All right, here's the snap. Let's see where the ball goes. Yep, it's in his hands. It looked like Ruben Brown actually knocked it out of Rob Johnson's hands. Didn't it? Ruben Brown pulling on the play. Looked like his arm came up and knocks the ball. Watch Ruben Brown. Yeah, Ruben Brown just tips that ball and knocks it right out of Rob Johnson's hands. Ruben Brown's too quick for his own good.
Now the Rams have turned it over twice the last 3 offensive plays. Some trickery. Yes, he'll fake the reverse.
Yes, that was a beautiful play.
Inside the 15 to the 10.
Did you see that? Man, that was a nice fake.
41 yards for Greg Hill.
Wow.
A career day.
And a spectacular play. How about this thing? Watch it here. They toss it to Hill, and then they fake the reverse. Ricky Proehl does a nice job, but the best thing about the fake was Greg Hill looked back. He stopped looking at the defense. He looked back at Proehl, and that's what really threw the defense off.
Banks could not find anyone and has taken down Sam Rogers.
Remember earlier how we said that most times the Bills rush 4, every once in a while they rush 5. So when you're not a big blitzing team and all of a sudden you do blitz, you have a real advantage. Here comes Rogers right off the edge. Look at that. And nobody's expecting that. There's 2 linebackers coming, and one of them comes unblocked. There's Coward up the middle. Rogers comes around the edge. He's able to actually get the sack.
Second Bills sack today. Rogers' second of the season. And Banks forced to call timeout again. Second one of the half.
Play clock's at 1 second. Rams have got to straighten out their play calling.
I never walk into a place I don't know how to walk out of.
Let's go!
Worried about saving your own skin? Yeah, I am. Covers my body.
About a half hour from Niagara. Niagara Falls. Kenny Albert, Tim Green in Orchard Park, New York. Rams on the move. 2nd and 12. On the Bills' 13-yard line. 3 wide receivers. Banks from the shotgun. Throws to the outside. Ant Lee makes the catch.
Banks pass
Down to the Buffalo 7.
Kurt Schultz and Henry Jones on the stop.
You know, Kenny, Tony Banks has really struggled today to complete the ball. I mean, right now, he's 5 for 13 with only about 90 yards and 2 interceptions. He has had a rough day. Rough week last week, rough day today. Once again, you have to remember, he's without his biggest target. That's Isaac Bruce.
He's also been forced to call timeout twice here in the 3rd quarter due to the play clock. 3rd and 7. Banks takes off as he did on the last play of the game last week when he fell 1 yard short. And this time is well short of the first down marker.
This is just confusion on the offensive line because they just leave a Bills defender come completely untouched. I think it was Phil Hansen.
Jeff Wilkins into attempting.
So Jeff Wilkins, who hit from 27 earlier, will attempt a 25-yard field goal, and it just makes it through. But for the 2nd time today, a terrific defensive effort in the red zone holds the Rams to 3 instead of 7. To the wild card race, they take on the Braves, and some of you will see the Cubs and the Astros, plus other games with playoff implications. Cubs and the Mets tied atop the wild card race in the National League. Kevin Williams. And the Bills will start from their own 20-yard line with 6.5 remaining. In this 3rd quarter, they lead the Rams 28-13.
20-yard line, 1st and 10.
3 touchdown passes for Rob Johnson today. That's a career best. Thurman Thomas, a 14-yard scamper for the other Bills score. Buffalo scored only 21 points, 3 touchdowns over the first 2 weeks. So an offensive explosion here today in the home opener.
I think they found the right combination of short passing and their offensive line getting that run game going.
Antoine Smith enjoying an excellent afternoon. Picks up 7 more yards. So 83 yards on the ground for Smith on 16 carries. Keith Lyle made the stop.
7-yard
You know, this offensive line, they're just pounding away. They're hammering away at the Rams, and that's what they've done all day. Now, remember, at the beginning of the game, Kenny, we said this Bills offensive line really struggled. Last week, 8 sacks, 6 false starts, 1 holding penalty, and 3 penalties that ended up killing drives. Today, look at that. 3 sacks, I know. 1 false start, no holding, no drive-killing penalties. So this offensive line right here, these guys have done a fine job of picking up their game.
Inside handoff, Sam Gash. And 2 of those 3 sacks today by Kevin Carter, and he's out for the game with a calf strain.
You know, really, for the Buffalo Bills, it's, you know, talking to Ted Cottrell, their defensive coordinator, yesterday, he said that, look, if I'm lucky, Isaac Bruce, I said, how are you going to cover Isaac Bruce? He said, if I'm lucky, he'll miss the bus. So Isaac Bruce is out, the best player on their whole team, and then the best player on their defense, Kevin Carter, he's out now. There's Ted Cottrell right there, so he got his wish.
Isaac did not miss the bus literally, but he did figuratively. On 3rd and short,
Johnson on the keeper.
Rams think they have stopped Rob Johnson.
I never know how they get the spot on that. You know, because how can you can't see the ball, you can't see the quarterback. It wouldn't surprise me if one day they have like a little laser thing. You know what I mean? They put a little magnetic tape on the ball or something.
Like in tennis, to call the balls in or out.
Yeah, why not?
And Johnson did pick up the first down.
Nice thing about that for the Bills is, you know, you get right behind your offensive line, the group that's struggling, you say, look, we're just going to surge, pick up the first down.
Johnson with time, picked on, gets to McCleon. McCleon has blockers. Forced out at the 28-second Bills turnover. of this third quarter.
And this is exactly what the St. Louis Rams need to get back into this game. They drove down, they were stopped and held to only a field goal by that tough Bills defense after a fumble recovered by Ray Agnew. And now this is what they need. A big play here from Dexter McCleon, only a rookie.
Rams will take over 1st and 10.
Second-year player.
On the 28-yard line.
Just looked like, you know, a miscue between Rob Johnson and Eric Moulds.
Second career interception for McCleon.
Because Moulds stopped. Moulds stopped on the pattern. McCleon kept running, and Johnson delivered the ball right to McCleon.
And Banks' pass intended for Ricky Proehl. So it will be a 2nd and 10 from the Bills' 28.
You know, one of the things I think Tony Banks has yet to put into his game is to throw the shorter passes with a little more touch. He's got a strong arm, and as I said, at times it's very accurate, at times it's not. But sometimes on those shorter balls, he puts too much heat on.
Banks on 2nd down looks to set up the screen intended for Greg Hill. So it will be a 3rd and 10.
Well, Kenny, anytime the Rams have gotten into the red zone today, the Buffalo defense has really stiffened up. Watch this goal line stand early in the game. Greg Hill stopped once, Greg Hill stopped twice, and then Tony Banks sacked by Bruce Smith coming right off the edge to force the Rams into a field goal. Wade Phillips ecstatic.
And they were also held to a field goal just moments ago in the red zone.
Yep, and the Rams are having trouble now. Not quite in the red zone.
On 3rd and 10, Banks in trouble. A flag on the play. Banks was hit by Bruce Smith.
I think Smith was the guy who was offsides.
And it is against Buffalo.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised they didn't blow that to protect Tony Banks.
Offside. Number 78 defense. 5-yard penalty. Replay. 3rd down.
And I know that the rule is that if the defense is offsides, the play continues. But you know, when Smith's running just full speed at Banks.
So the Rams pick up 5 on the penalty, setting up 3rd down and 5. 5th Bills penalty. 3 wide receivers. Banks over the top. Ampley makes the catch. And Smith play into the end zone. Touchdown, Ampley.
Beautiful blitz pickup by the Rams. And an outstanding play by Ampley. And you can hear the silence. Rams talked yesterday about the excitement of the silence in an away crowd. Watch this pickup. Look at that beautiful blitz pickup by John Flannery, the center. Flannery comes from his center position all the way to the outside to knock off the blitzing safety.
So the Rams capitalize following the Rob Johnson interception. Dexter McCleon picking off Johnson. And Tony Banks makes the connection with Ampley, a 23-yard touchdown pass. As the Rams have pulled within 8.
Boy, they really have. Interception by Dexter McCleon, remember, is the thing that set this up. And then Bruce Smith's offsides penalty gave Banks a much easier play to pick up, to convert on the 3rd down. Instead of the conversion, he goes all the way to the end zone for Ampley. But watch the blitz pick up here. Look at Flannery, the center. Look at him come out and pick up Henry Jones. Boom, knocks him off, gives Banks the time he needs. And then remember, we said Banks can be very, very accurate at times. And look how accurate that ball is. Beautiful accuracy and great determination by Ampley to spin off the hit and get into the end zone.
Well, the story of the Rams season over the first 2 weeks, second half comebacks. They trailed New Orleans 24-0, wound up losing by only a 24-17 score. Last week, they trailed Minnesota 24-10, wound up tying the game at 31, lost 38-31. And they trailed earlier this quarter 28-10 and have scored 10 unanswered since.
Yep, and with Isaac Bruce out, who you just saw there standing on the sidelines, we said other guys are going to have to pick it up, and one of the guys right behind him, Amp Lee, certainly did. But I tell you, the most impressive thing about that touchdown pass to me was John Flannery, the center, getting out and picking up the blitzing safety to give Tony Banks the time he needed. I'm not saying it just because Flannery is a Syracuse guy.
I figured there was a reason.
Teammate of mine.
Big win for the Orangemen yesterday over Rutgers. So Jeff Wilkins kicks it off. And it takes a bounce down to the 2-yard line. Kevin Williams with Derek Holmes leading the way. A big block by Holmes. And then Williams was caught from behind by Tony Horn after a 15-yard return.
Holmes just flattened Gerald Moore, didn't he? Went down like one of those ducks in the shooting gallery.
And then Horn made the stop. Bills have turned it over on their last 2 possessions. A botched snap from the center, Ziegler to Johnson, and then the interception leading to 10 Rams points.
Watch this block. It's 44 on 44. Look at that. Whoa. Gerald Moore just went right to his back.
So now the Bills start from their own 17-yard line as Antoine Smith looked to cut it back inside. He gained 2 yards before he was brought down by Mike D. Jones.
This Rams defense now, and this is when they really need it. I mean, they need to keep the momentum. Because a lot of times with an offense, when you score as easily as the Bills did, they came right out from halftime, scored 2 quick touchdowns. And, you know, when you're ahead 28-10, a lot of times you kind of let up, you kind of get relaxed. So if the Bills are relaxed, the Rams defense needs to take advantage of it right here and right now.
On second down, Johnson is taken down by Charlie Clements.
Charlie Clements taking the stop.
That's what they're doing. You know, you can just sense it. You know, there's Peter Junta, defensive coordinator for the Rams. He wanted to come into this game, play aggressively, stack up the line of scrimmage with 8 men, force the game into Rob Johnson's hands. But so far, that really hasn't happened today. This is one of the first third and very long situations Rob Johnson has found himself in.
Johnson again in trouble, chased by DeMarco Farr, and then taken down.
Toby Wright,
along with Farr. 5th sack of the game by the Rams.
Yeah, again, in those third and very long situations, this is where your quarterback is at a great advantage. So Peter Junta, the coordinator, has the luxury of sending Toby Wright. He's a strong safety. Hey, send him. We're not worried. It's going to take the receivers too long to get downfield, so we can commit not only our linemen, we can throw a linebacker in there, throw a safety in there, put the pressure on Rob Johnson and bring him down.
Well, the Bills started this drive on their own 28, now all the way back at the 14. Eddie Kennison, the deep man.
Bad punt.
Short punt by Moore, and then Kennison was knocked into by his own teammate, Ryan McNeil. Jay Riemersma was there as well. There's Eric Smedley.
Someone right on top of it. One of the officials right on top of it is saying it's Rams. Nope, he just turned around.
Kennison was calling for the fair catch, and then a collision. Riemersma and Ryan McNeil.
Side judge went one way, then came back the other way.
So it obviously bounced off a Ram. There's McNeil, 47, with Smedley.
Nice play by Smedley, because I'll tell you what, that's exactly what you want to do. You want to drive that guy into Eddie Kennison, just the way he does, because he's not hitting Kennison, McNeil's hitting Kennison. It's perfectly legal. It's great special teams play.
So a bad punt, and the Bills wind up with the football at midfield. Now the Bills try the reverse. Kevin Williams with Johnson, the quarterback, leading the way.
Yeah, that was the block that sprung him. Oh, Toby Wright is going to be hammering himself when he sees this thing on film. Toby Wright coming back from a knee injury. Not really the same as he was last season when he was 100% healthy. Watch this here. Here's Williams. Watch the block. I mean, Toby Wright has got to force this back to the inside. Rob Johnson gets just enough of a block on him to spring Williams to the outside.
Williams gained 28 yards on the reverse. First down from the Rams, 22. Thurman Thomas up the middle for a gain of 5.
Now the momentum has just totally gone back in favor of the Bills. The Rams defense did a great job of just stifling the Bills back down in their own territory. Then the fumble on the punt. Bills get it back, and now the Bills are taking it to them.
So the Rams have turned it over 3 times here in the third quarter, and the Bills twice. No turnovers in the first half, 5 here in the third quarter. Thurman Thomas once again picks up 2 yards down to the 15. Jeff Robinson made the tackle.
And the Rams just rotated their defensive front. They brought in Winstrom. They brought in Agnew. So they brought some fresh bodies in because I think that Peter Junta probably felt that his defense was getting worn down and they were losing their, they were losing their steam. So I like that. I like that strategy of, all right, look, things are getting critical here. Bring some fresh blood off the bench, and let's see if these guys can hold them.
Junta, the co-defensive coordinator of the Rams, along with John Bunting. Third down and 3. Johnson rolling to his right, looking downfield, could not find anyone, forced out of bounds by Eric Hill, who will be credited with a sack on the play. Johnson running out of bounds, 6th sack of the game. Credited to the Rams.
Yeah, we talked earlier about Bruce Smith playing with an injury and Johnson being banged up. This guy, Eric Hill, is about as tough as you can get. Broke his left hand in game 1, right? Breaks the hand, and the doctors say he probably won't be back until after the half. Hill was only out for a few series, came right back in before the half with the broken hand. So don't think that his game hasn't been affected adversely by that broken hand, but he's just a warrior.
And the time runs out here in this third quarter with the Bills leading the Rams 28-20. Back at Orchard Park as we get set for the start of quarter number 4 with the Buffalo Bills leading the St. Louis Rams by the score of 28-20. A 36-yard field goal attempt. Steve Christie 0 for 2 this season. Chris Moore is the holder, and Christie's kick is good. So Steve Christie extends the Buffalo Bills lead to 11. Thomas in front, and Horn forced out of bounds at the 22-yard line. Well, we are certainly honored to be joined here in the broadcast booth by the longtime coach of the Buffalo Bills, Marv Levy. And Marv, first of all, thanks for joining us. How does it feel to watch a Bills game from up here?
Much more relaxed, I'll tell you that, Ken. I'm enjoying it, and I've been down there for a lot of them, 12 years worth.
You certainly did an unbelievable job when you were down there. I know having to come up here and face your team one time with the Atlanta Falcons where you really put us through a meat grinder.
Well, Tim, the answer to that, of course, is have good players, and we did. We had a lot of good players in those years. I was fortunate.
Here's Greg Hill on first down. Wants to cut it back inside. And a couple of the players who did some marvelous things for you through the years have had an effect on today's game. Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed both reaching the end zone.
Thurman and Andre in the end zone. Kurt Schultz has had 2 big interceptions. He's playing very well. My heart is still down there with a lot of those players. I'll tell you that.
Well, that's great, Coach. But we appreciate your coming up here and joining us, and wish you all the success in everything that you're doing now.
Thank you very much, and I'll look forward to catching you 2 on television.
All right, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Marv Levy, one of the greats, led the Bills to 4 consecutive Super Bowl appearances. And his former club leading the Rams by 11 as Ant Lee loses the football and it is recovered by one of Marv Levy's favorites, Kurt Schultz.
What a terrible break for the Rams. Beautiful pass play to Ampli right up the center. Not unlike the touchdown pass that they scored on only a few minutes ago. But this time, the ball is knocked loose from Ampli. Watch Ampli comes upfield, breaks right towards the center of the field. The ball is perfectly thrown, but there it's knocked out by Sam Rogers. Rogers does a beautiful job coming up behind that ball and just popping it out of Ampli's hands with his fist. And then there's Kurt Schultz. Today is just, this is his weekend, huh?
And there's Ampli, who committed the 4th Rams turnover of the second half.
Not much Ampli could have done about that. That was just a great defensive play by Sam Rogers.
Antoine Smith bottled up by Jay Williams. So Kurt Schultz with 2 interceptions and a fumble recovery here in the second half. There have been 6 second-half turnovers combined, 4 by the Rams and 2 by the Buffalo Bills.
You know, Marv Levy a few moments ago said he had great players, and that's why they thrashed us when I was with the Falcons. But I'll tell you what, I really think that everything for the football team starts with its head coach, and what a fine man and a fine coach he was.
Johnson rolling right, pump fakes, and takes it out of bounds.
Johnson on the keeper.
The Rams defense has really been called upon to, you know, in the second half after all these turnovers to really get tough. And they have. This is a big play. I mean, this is a big series right here. Because after losing it, if they can get it right back again, the Rams can really pick up right where they left off. And they need to, because, you know, with 12 and change left and down, you know, needing 2 touchdowns to win this game, they've got to get it back soon.
3rd and 10.
Beautiful play call.
7th sack of the game by the Rams, Charlie Clemens.
That's what they wanted to do. Get Rob Johnson into known passing situations, and then Peter Junta, the coordinator, said, hey, then we want to blitz, and here they come. I mean, here comes the linebackers coming right up the center of the field. Too many guys coming for the Buffalo Bills offensive line to block. Nice defensive call. There's Peter Junta right there on the sideline. Again, you know, a lot of it is coaching. You got to have the players, but boy, you got to have a coach putting them in the right situation.
Johnson sacked 8 times last week, 7 times so far this afternoon. Eddie Kennison. Kennison cutting it outside across the 30. So terrific field position for the Rams. He was forced out of bounds by Sam Cowart. A 37-yard return. Eddie Kennison following his 37-yard punt return. Setting up terrific field position. Rams on their own 42-yard line.
Yeah, real nice effort by the Rams defense to get the ball back. Beautiful return by Eddie Kennison to really put the Rams offense just about where they were before Ampli's fumble.
Rams start with 3 wide receivers. Banks out of the shotgun, trailing by 11. Low snap. Banks in trouble. Gets rid of it. Ampli, who fumbled last time. And this time works his way to the Buffalo 47, a gain of 11.
I really like that strategy by Dick Vermeil, okay? Because you get a guy and he gets a fumble, but this guy's an important weapon in your offense. If you're going to drive down, you're without Isaac Bruce. So you bring him right back on the very next play and you get the ball in his hands, let him make a big play. Nice timing by Tony Banks. He takes the shot, a nice catch and acceleration by Ampli. And I like that call.
Another first down. Ricky Proehl inside the Bills 30, a gain of 15. And for an update on the St. Louis Cardinals, Mark McGuire Here's James Brown of Los Angeles.
St. Louis fans will be talking about this one. Look at that, top of the fifth. You know that home run swing. Mark McGwire looked like it was number 66. However, the umpire ruled spectator interference. Take a look at the spot shadow here. They say the fan caught the ball before it cleared that railing. Rule 3.16 says that the umpire will impose whatever penalty he thinks will nullify the act of interference. Bad call. Back to Kenny and Tim.
Wow, spectator interference. Now Banks looking end zone and a flag. Ken Irvin.
Good call by the officials on that one. Irvin just mugged him. Now Tony Banks again really relying on his receiver, just putting that ball up, saying to JT Thomas, look, I'm going to let you battle and fight to bring that ball down, and you either battle for it and win, or hopefully we'll draw a pass interference penalty, which
Pass
they do.
Number 27 defense. First down.
Here it is. Here's JT Thomas with Ken Irvin on him, man for man. Tough duty for Ken Irvin. Watch it right there. I mean, he just mugs him. You know, he's all over him, tackles him before the ball gets there. Good, clean call by the officials.
First and goal.
Remember, they held him here before.
Greg Hill, this time,
Not this time.
gets it across. His second touchdown of the game.
Very Marcus Allen-like, wouldn't you say? And remember, back in the first half, the Rams got the ball down first and go to goal from the 2, and they were rejected 3 times by this Bills defense. Rams are going to go for 2 points now.
Looking to pull within a field goal. They trail 31-26, and the Rams will go for 2 for the first time this season. Line of scrimmage is the 2. Banks to Antley for the conversion.
Wow. Nice blocking up front by the Rams line again.
So the Rams, who trailed earlier in the second half, 28-10, have pulled within 3.
Back in Buffalo, the Rams spread the Bills' defense and then get some beautiful blocking up front. Look at Flannery there. He gets a block. Both guards get a block. Good handoff to Antley, and it's good for a touchdown.
Williams across the 25, across the 30. Flags come flying. Tony Horn made the special teams tackle once again. 32-yard return by Williams.
I think Wade Phillips really needs to somehow instill a sense of urgency in his offense, because no doubt that the momentum has shifted in favor of the Rams now. The Rams defense doing a nice job in the last couple series of shutting down this Bills offense. I think once they got ahead, they started to get a little bit too comfortable. Need to get back to that running game with Antoine Smith, back to the short passing with Rob Johnson.
Illegal use of the hands on a member of the kicking team. Number 59. Holding
London Fletcher.
on the return team. By rule, these penalties offset at the spot of the foul by the receiving team. First down.
Busy afternoon for Tony Correnti. So the Bills take over from their own 25-yard line. Rob Johnson has thrown 3 touchdown passes in this afternoon's game. He's also turned it over twice. 1 fumble, 1 interception. Bills leading by only 3. Johnson airing it out. Andre Reed off his fingertips. Taji Allen on the coverage.
Excellent coverage by Taji Allen. Well, Andre Reed looks hurt. Well, it looks like his shoulder, too. Watch Taji Allen. Look at this. I mean, this is one of the best in the game, but he's running step for step with him and gives Rob Johnson no place to throw that ball. And then that right there, he comes down on that right shoulder with Allen on top of it.
Reed replaced by the return man, Kevin Williams.
That's a hard thing to come off the bench cold and cover a guy like Andre Reed.
Antoine Smith, good second effort once again, as we have seen all game long. Out of bounds at the 49-yard line, a gain of 24.
And I think what happens to Mike Jones, the Rams linebacker, he's fooled by Antoine Smith's size. Because you look at this guy and you think, big back, hard physical runner, and you don't think he can beat you with this speed. Watch, look at this here. Watch this cutback, right? And there's Jones, and he outruns Jones. I think Jones was fooled by Smith's size.
Smith over the 100-yard mark for the second time in his NFL career. Vernon Thomas. Back to the original line of scrimmage. Jay Williams brought him down.
Jay Williams making the stop.
Boy, while one Mike Jones had trouble on the last play stopping down the run, the other Mike Jones, Mike D. Jones, did a beautiful job of shutting this down. And you see the run doesn't work. Here's why it doesn't work. Watch Mike D. Jones. Look at him come right up, sir, gets in front of the tight end, and then just blasts Reuben Brown right back into the backfield to really stop this run play before it can ever get started.
Second and 10. Darren Holmes in motion from the 48. Johnson in trouble. Sack number 8 by the Rams. DeMarco Farr with his second.
By DeMarco Farr.
Well, I'll tell you, we talked about this Bills line needing to pick up the pace. And Kenny, they've done a much better job in the past than they have in the past couple of weeks. They got the run game going, and Johnson hasn't taken quite the punishment, but they're starting to break down again. DeMarco Farr just beating the guy in front of him with that great quickness.
So the Bills again moving backwards. Third down and 16. Johnson. And he was looking for Quinn early. And the Bills will be forced to punt.
And Johnson now, without one of his more valuable weapons, as Andre Reed is leaving the field.
In punt formation.
So the Rams defense really has done it again. They've stiffened up. They shut down the Bills offense, and they're going to give Tony Banks and his guys another chance to score and take the lead in this game.
Rams led 10-7. The Bills scored 21 consecutive points. Since then, the Rams have scored 18 in a row. Were the Bills able to save it?
Wow, I thought that looked like from here that ball hit the line, which would make it a touchback.
The debate continues. The officials in discussion as to whether or not it went out of bounds prior to the goal line or not. And the Bills did, in fact, save it. A 57-yard punt. The Rams drove 98 yards earlier. Now they must go 99.
It's a game of inches. Watch this bounce here. Just stays in to pin the Rams offense deep in their own territory.
Andy Martin saved it. And now the Rams start from their own one. Greg Hill
They got him.
caught in the end zone for a safety. Ted Washington.
The big guy barreled through and scores on defense. Greg Hill is down. And it all began with an amazing punt and an amazing special teams effort by Manny Martin to pin the Rams down with their backs to their own goal. Watch it here. Here's Ted Washington. Look at him. He just blasts through and makes his play single-handedly. He also rolls up on Greg Hill's leg. Look at that. Watch him. Watch Washington. Look at him. He just blasts right by Flannery and wrangles Greg Hill down in the end zone.
So the Bills' lead is now 5. A wild second half here at Orchard Park. Ted Washington, a Pro Bowler last year. He was named the Bills' most valuable player. signed a 5-year, $27 million contract. And he forced his way through for the safety.
The worst thing about the Rams for this may be the loss of Greg Hill, who in 19 carries had 158 yards. 2 touchdowns as well.
2 touchdowns last week, 2 more here today.
That's a shame.
You said it, Tim. The play by Manny Martin to keep the punt from bouncing into the end zone changes the momentum once again.
Yes, yeah, that did it all. I mean, that play to just tip that ball backwards, and Manny Martin, the beautiful thing about it was to keep Manny Martin to keep his own feet in bounds.
It's a game of inches.
It really is. And this does not look good for Greg Hill. They're looking at his knee, and Ted Washington is in a massive load to roll up on your knee.
A career game today for Greg Hill. 2 runs of 40 yards or more, the longest runs of his career. His 4th career 100-yard game, but he will be taken through the tunnel.
And now do you think for the Rams we'll see Gerald Moore, who had 3 fumbles in the Saints game in the opener, and that's what enabled Greg Hill to get his chance. Watch Washington here again. Does this all? There's the roll-up right there.
Rams already playing without Isaac Bruce, and now they lose Greg Hill, down by 5.
And they lost Kevin Carter as well. Going to be offsides on the Rams.
Kevin Williams, flag on the play. Bills will decline the penalty.
Probably.
Kevin Williams, a 23-yard return.
And the Bills injury report, Andre Reed has suffered a separated shoulder. He will not return. Again, 2 penalties called.
Offside on the kicking team. By rule, this penalty would decline. Illegal block in the back on the receiving team. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Nice break for the Rams defense to really lengthen that field for Buffalo, because that penalty will be marked off from the point of the foul. So where they had the ball in Rams territory, they're now pretty well into their own territory.
Rams trailed by 3 with the football at their own 1-yard line. But Ted Washington forced the safety, and now it's the Bills from their own 25. Johnson to the air on first down. The catch is made by Sam Gash. Wrapped up by Mike A. Jones after a gain of 9.
That's tough duty for Mike Jones to cover a guy like Sam Gash, because when you're a linebacker and you see big Sam Gash coming at you, what you're thinking is that he's going to block you. You know, if you see Thurman Thomas coming at you, we saw Jones with the coverage on Thomas earlier, and he did a great job, because you know Thurman Thomas isn't going to come and lead block you, but when you see Gash, you think, uh-oh, I got to be ready for a block. All of a sudden, he turns into a pass receiver.
2nd and 1. Johnson on the keeper has the first down.
Wow, and how?
First down, Buffalo.
Johnson looks like he's hurt. One thing this Bills team knows about this guy is that he's tough. Looks like they got his nose. Here he is, just a quick quarterback sneak. Follows Joe Panos right up. And there he reaches right for his nose.
Johnson remains down. Doug Flutie has his helmet on, warming up on the Bills sidelines. Flutie came in week 1 for the injured Johnson and threw 2 touchdown passes against the San Diego Chargers.
Well, the thing that Doug Flutie has, he's always had it. We used to play against him when he was at Boston College, is that great elusiveness. I mean, even better than we talked about Rob Johnson and his great ability to scramble. Heck, he set up a touchdown play today with a long scramble. He's had a beautiful day, but Flutie's even better. He is just one of the most shifty, elusive guys going. There he is, 1984 Heisman Trophy winner, 6-time CFL Outstanding Player. And I think the reason why Flutie had so much success up in Canada is because the field is wider. And so if you have the mobility of a Doug Flutie, you know, that just gives you more room to run. It's like, you know, it's like playing in a bigger backyard. And we're going to try to take a look at Rob Johnson and what happens to him. He puts his head down. Wow, he gets cracked. It looked like Eric Hill just stoned him. And Hill is a big, powerful linebacker. Man, because on that replay, it looked like his head just got snapped back. So you have to think, you know, concussion or what?
And he did suffer a concussion week 1, a mild concussion. And the crowd reacts as Doug Flutie comes on. He spent the last 8 years in the Canadian Football League. Week 1, he was 12 of 20 for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. Flutie hands it off. Antoine Smith up the middle. Big burst to the 43. A gain of 6.
You know, Kenny, the Bills a few series ago replaced Dusty Ziegler, their center, with Bill Canady. And the good thing about Canady and Doug Flutie is Canady being the second-team center, Flutie being a second-team quarterback, they get a lot of snaps together anyway. So they shouldn't have any discomfort there on the exchange of the ball.
Second down and 4. Smith looks to cut it outside, but Eric Hill says no.
Yeah, nice play by Eric Hill. And then again, you know, we talked about it earlier. That's that Rams defense. Everybody getting into their gap and filling that gap. And Hill, again, playing with, you know, incredible pain. Because he's got that broken hand. There he is out there. He comes to the outside, fills that hole. He's the only guy there. If he doesn't fill it, it's probably going to be a first down.
Instead, 3rd and 4 for Doug Flutie and the Buffalo Bills. 5.5 remaining. Bills leading by 5. Flags on the play. Flutie tried to draw the Rams offside.
Flutie's pass intended for Eric
I think he may have gotten them too.
Flag on the play.
Unless one of the Bills linemen moved first, it's going to be against the
Offside
Rams.
on the defense, number 56. 5-yard penalty.
Charlie Clemens.
First down.
That's a tough thing. You're coming on the blitz, okay? Peter Junta sending his guys on the blitz. Let's get this, you know, this quarterback off the bench. So these guys are just chomping at the bit. And watch Flutie's head with the hard count. Watch, see that there? Bark, just gives that bark and draws the blitzers off sides.
Ironically, it's Clemens who spent 3 years in the Canadian Football League playing against Doug Flutie.
So you would think he'd be ready for that.
On first down, Smith turns the corner. Forced out by Dexter McLeod
Smith over the right
after a
side.
gain of 4.
Well, really, all the Buffalo Bills have to do here is just grind this thing out. You know, get Antoine Smith running, get Thurman Thomas running, grind this thing out, eat up the clock, and force the Rams offense, if they can get the ball back at all, to have to go a great distance on the field without Isaac Bruce.
Second and 7. Thurman Thomas, and he's caught by Mike A. Jones.
Thomas, the ball carrier.
Tim, this is the 3rd consecutive week that the St. Louis Rams have knocked out the opposing quarterback. Billy Joe Hobert of the Saints, week 1, tore his right Achilles tendon. He's out for the season. Last week, Brad Johnson of the Vikings fractured his right fibula. Johnson will miss 4 to 6 weeks. And today, Rob Johnson, no relation to Brad, of course. So in all 3 of their games, the Rams have forced out the opposing starting quarterback.
Yeah, and boy, on that replay, Rob Johnson took an incredible hit from Eric Hill when he ran that quarterback sneak.
3rd down and 7. Flutie to the air for the first time, nearly picked off by Ryan McNeil. Quinn Early was the intended receiver.
that ball goes right into Ryan McNeil's hand. It looked like the two of them were tangled up. Now here's Early here. Here's Ryan McNeil. Beautiful hit by Ryan McNeil. Now remember, he's allowed, that's the chuck zone. You're allowed in the first 5 yards to hit that receiver frontally. Okay, as long as you hit him frontally, you can hit him once, just as Ryan McNeil did, to really disrupt that pass pattern. McNeil, of course, out all throughout training camp with a holdout. Came back in, and he really has a ways to go before he gets up to speed.
End over end punt by Moore. And again, it takes a bounce. Eric Smedley, but this time he crossed the goal line. He could not save it. What an effort by Smedley.
Moore's arguing, but I think what it may have, I'm not sure, but I think Smedley may have been out of bounds when he grabbed the ball. I'm not sure.
But if he were out of bounds, that would benefit the Bills.
Back. Push back.
Yeah, it looks like, yep, he hit the pylon before he hit anything else.
Yep.
So a nice break for the Rams offense. And of course the Rams now, without the timeouts, they burned 2 of their timeouts earlier with the miscues getting to the line of scrimmage late. They're in 4-down situation. From here on in, with 3:57 left, needing a touchdown to win, they're in 4-down situation from here on in.
No Isaac Bruce, no Greg Hill, Gerald Moore in the backfield with Ham Lee.
And a crowd roaring against you.
And the play clock down to 3. Banks over the top, and the catch is made despite the coverage from Henry Jones.
Beautifully thrown pass by Tony Banks, and another nice catch by J.T. Thomas.
8-yard gain.
He's had a nice game. He's had a nice game today. We've seen him make some tough catches. This is not necessarily tough, but he's got a guy on him. He's got the safety on him, and he just brings that ball down, concentrates, pulls it in, keeps the Rams alive.
3 wide receivers, Thomas, Kennison, and Kroll. 2nd and 2. And it was Sam Rogers getting a piece of it.
Well, Rogers came on the blitz. I tell you, the Rams are going to have to start getting their plays in quicker to give Tony Banks time to get to the line and then assess the defense. Because all game long, we've seen him have trouble. We've seen him burn timeouts, getting to the line late. Now the Rams are making substitutions, right? Guys are still coming on and off the field. The play clock is at 17. Now, Tony Banks has got to set up here. He's got to read the defense, and that clock is ticking down.
Play clock at 7. 3rd and 2, Gerald Moore. And it looks like Moore has picked up the first down, quieting the crowd here in Orchard Park. First down, St. Louis. The last 2 weeks, Rams trailing by a touchdown, had the ball in the closing minutes, could not convert. Here they have a little more time, 3 minutes remaining.
Yep, 3 minutes, but only 1 timeout. And this crowd is going to pick up. They know this is the 12th man in Buffalo. They know what they can do.
Rams need to march 70 yards. A field goal does no good. This time Thomas unable to make the catch. It was thrown a bit behind him.
Yeah, just too poorly thrown by Tony Banks. And his line did a nice job of picking up the Buffalo blitz to give him time. Now, one thing I will say about Tony Banks, this guy will not lose his composure. He will, he's going to stay calm and cool and do everything he can. And he's not going to lose confidence in himself. Even though you look at these numbers, he hasn't had a spectacular day.
Without his top receiver and running back. 2nd and 10. Banks pump fakes again. Hits Ant Lee. He may have been
downfield.
He was in front of the line of scrimmage. Yep. Banks had crossed the line of scrimmage before he threw the pass.
That's an illegal forward pass.
In fact, last week, the Rams thought Randall Cunningham was across the line, but it was not called by the officials. And Dick Vermeil was not very happy about that.
Illegal forward pass. Pass from beyond the line of scrimmage. Number 12. 5-yard penalty. loss of down, per down.
And this is the part of that penalty that really kills the Rams, is the loss of down. Okay? Now here's the line of scrimmage. Tony Banks does a nice job of scrambling, right? But clearly crosses the line of scrimmage before he delivers that ball to Ant Lee. And now they are in a big 3rd and 15 hole. But remember, they're in 2 downs. They can take 2 downs to make this happen.
3 wide receivers, 3rd and 15. Thanks to Ricky Proehl, he has the first down out to the 46-yard line. He needed 15, and they gained 21.
And what a beautiful pass by Tony Banks. You know, we've said it all day long. He can be incredibly accurate. He can be incredibly inaccurate. And we've seen both in this series alone. Look at this. Here comes the blitz. Again, nice blitz pickup by the Rams offensive line. And then a beautifully thrown ball by Tony Banks to keep this drive alive.
We have hit the 2-minute warning. With the Rams trailing by 5, they have 53 yards to try and win it. (33-28) Buffalo Bills leading the St. Louis Rams. 2 minutes to go.
Tony Banks, 6 completions out of his last 8 passes for 99 yards and a touchdown.
This one is batted and caught. Ant Lee came back and made the catch. A flag on the play.
It's going to be another completion for Tony Banks, Kenny. Before his run of the last 9 passes, that's defense against the Bills. Big break for the Rams. Before those last 9 passes, Banks was only 5 of 15, 33% of his passes.
Number 28, defense. 5-yard penalty.
88 yards and 2 interceptions.
Thomas Smith
on the pass interference. He's got Eddie Kennison here, and he grabs hold of him, wrangles him to the ground. Nice call by the officials.
1:51 remaining. First down in Bills territory on the Buffalo 48-yard line. 3 wide receivers. Banks steps up, throws wide open. Ricky Proehl inside the 15.
What a beautiful pass by Tony Banks, and a beautiful read. I mean, he read that thing perfectly, right down the center of the field. He looked to his primary receiver, saw that he wasn't open, and delivers this on the mark. It starts with the protection, Kenny. Look at this here. Look at these guys. Just like a fortress up there. And then Tony Banks looking from one receiver to the other and picking up a big gain.
34 yards down to the Bills' 14. And this time Banks incomplete. Ken Irvin wrapped up Proehl. Rams with only 1 timeout remaining. 1:05 on the clock, trailing by 5. Remember, the safety extended the difference from a 3 to a 5-point game.
And as you said, Kenny, both their previous games this season, the first 2 games, in the exact same situation, with the Rams coming up short in both games, needing a touchdown with the ball in the final minutes.
3 wide receivers set. Tony Banks on second down, a shovel pass. Ant Lee inside the 5, hurdles down to the 2-yard line.
What a great effort and a beautiful block by Fred Miller.
Under a minute remaining. Rams trailing the Bills by 5. Kenny Albert with Tim Green. It's been a wild game here at Orchard Park. Both teams 0-2. Rams without their leading receiver, Isaac Bruce, as well as Greg Hill, who's rushed for 158 yards today. He is injured. First and goal from the Buffalo 2.
Clock running out, 31 seconds. Rams with only 1 timeout left.
Gerald Moore, and he is wrapped up. And the Rams call their final timeout with 22 seconds to play.
And isn't it appropriate that Bruce Smith makes this play to make it even harder for the Rams? We saw him earlier in the game. The Buffalo Bills with some excellent goal line stands in the red zone. Earlier in the game, Bruce Smith with a big sack. Watch him here. When he gets on the end, he's dangerous. Somebody's got to account for this guy. It's just that great upfield speed. Again, he's playing with bone-on-bone injury in his knee.
No timeouts remaining for the St. Louis Rams. They trail by 5. They've lost each of their first 2 games by a touchdown, while the Bills have fallen short twice on the road.
And the Rams, again, without Isaac Bruce from the start of today, and they lost Greg Hill, who was spectacular running the football. This thing right now is in the hands of Tony Banks.
22 seconds remaining. 2nd and goal from the 4. Banks rolling right. Looking end zone, throws it away.
Flag.
Penalty markers with 17 seconds remaining.
But the flag is not what the Rams need now. What they need now is more time.
Holding against the Bills.
With 17 seconds, that almost does nothing for you.
Number 27's defense. Penalty would be half the distance to the goal. Automatic. First down.
Ken Urban.
It gets you a little closer, but you really can't take a chance of running the football down here. With 17 seconds, the most you're going to get at best are 3 passes. There it is. There's the grab right there by Ken Urban. A grab and a double. They got a double grab on that.
1st and goal from the Bills. 2. Play action. Banks inside the 5. There's the touchdown. He fell 1 yard short last week. This time he's got it.
Unbelievable play. What a great effort by Tony Banks. And a nice job by his line up front. They held their blocks. They kept their blocks. Banks saw he had no receivers. He took it into his own hands. As you said, same thing last week, only he came really a foot short of the goal line. Look at this here. Bruce Smith comes to the outside, forces Banks up into the center, and it's just his great athleticism that gets him this touchdown. Look at and then the spike between the legs. A happy moment for Tony Banks, who really struggled early in the game. He started this game out completing only 5 of 15 passes.
And leading by 1, the Rams will go for 2. They converted earlier on a 2-point conversion with Amp Lee. And Banks this time is taken down.
Banks attempt on the 2-point conversion
By Pat Williams. So with 11 seconds remaining, a 2-yard touchdown run by Tony Banks has given the Rams,
with 11 seconds remaining,
who trailed 28-10, a 34-33 lead.
Well, Banks feels the pressure from the outside. You're going to see Bruce Smith comes up one side. Orlando Pace does a beautiful job riding him around. You see the blitzing linebacker come outside, and then Banks just puts a little move on the defenders who are left. He starts to the right, breaks back to the left, and I love that spike.
Well, as we mentioned last week, trailing by a touchdown against the Vikings, final seconds, Banks scrambles and is stopped 1 yard short.
That's why to me it was such an amazing play. To be in the same situation with the clock running out, with no timeouts, and to run the ball, to put it in your own hands, with last week's loss fresh in your mind where you came up short. But to have the confidence in yourself, as we said before about Tony Banks, just the refusal to lay down, the refusal to think negative of yourself. Started this game out, Kenny, 5 of 15 for 88 yards and 2 interceptions. Ended this game 8 of 11, 144 yards, 1 touchdown in the air, and another winning touchdown on the ground.
The Rams have turned the ball over 4 times in the second half, yet they lead by a point. They won their last 3 road games last season.
How about that? Dick Vermeil, sit down, give your young quarterback a hug, tell you that was the great thing about Vermeil yesterday. I said, how about your feelings on Tony Banks? Do you believe in him? He struggled last week, 4 interceptions, and came up short of the goal line. Dick Vermeil looked me clean in the eye and said, hey, I believe in this guy. I am going to stick with this guy no matter what.
Derek Holmes Out across the 20 to the 22-yard line. Charlie Clemens made the stop. 6 seconds remaining. Does BC Miami mean anything?
I was just thinking about Doug Flutie and his famous Hail Mary pass. He's got a lot longer to go on a Hail Mary here. It's going to need more than a Hail Mary. You're going to need the Stanford band. And there's Rob Johnson, the Bills quarterback, who was knocked out when Eric Gill, the big linebacker for the Rams, smacked him head on head when Rob Johnson ran a quarterback sneak.
6 seconds on the clock. Bills trailing by 1. A bit of deja vu 14 years later. Doug Flutie downfield, and it is broken up. It is all over. So the Buffalo Bills start 0-3 for the first time since 1985, the season before Marv Levy took over. A wild second half, and the Rams win it by the score of 34-33, their first victory. St. Louis will host Arizona next week. The Bills will be idle. So a 1-point victory for St. Louis, capped by Tony Banks' 2-yard touchdown run. For our entire crew, Kenny Albert, Tim Green saying so long. We'll send you back to the Fox Network Center in Los Angeles with James Brown after these messages and a word from your local Fox station.
Because of